our friend from the Clemson radio network. He is their color analyst on the football and basketball broadcast. We bring in our guy, Tim Bourret. Always great to chat, Tim. Thanks so much for hopping on today.
Good to talk to you. Fittingly, as I speak with you, it is snowing in Clemson, South Carolina.
Okay. I think we got you beat. It's like 0 degrees out here, but it was
well, yeah, we had a high of 33 here today, so I guess the whole East Coast is a little. But fear not, the orange will get here fine. It's going to have a little dusting of maybe an inch of snow, so we'll be good.
Okay, we like to hear that. We hear a dusting of snow, and we don't think anything of it up here, but we know other places are not as used to these.
I don't think there is a snow plow in Clemson, but anyway, we just got to sit around and wait for it to melt.
Okay, and I'm sure it will accomplish that quickly tomorrow. All right, Tim. Yes. Clemson's off to a fantastic start here. I mean, 15-4, 7-1 in the league, killing it at home. This feels like we're looking at, I mean, this is a really good Clemson team. It seems to be we're in a bit of a golden era here the last few years of Clemson basketball.
Yeah, you're right. We are 36-16 in our last 52 ACC regular season games, which is by far the best record for that period of time in Clemson history. 2 years ago we finished 14-6 in the league. Very disappointingly did not get in the NCAA tournament because we didn't have a good non-conference resume. And then last year 11-9, but then had a great run in the NCAA tournament. Got to the Elite Eight for the first time in over 40 years, and now we're off to a good start. 7-1. This is just the second time we've ever been 7-1 starting in the ACC. We've already got a good win over Kentucky, got a quad 1 win over Penn State, and then got another quad 1 win this past Saturday against Virginia Tech.
And had some nice wins recently here. Has Clemson, pardon me, they're now 7-1 and only behind Duke in the league right now. And Chase Hunter leading the way. He's been fantastic, and it's rare anymore. You get guys sticking around college this long, and he's really become a fantastic player here this year.
Brad has done a good job of keeping some veteran guys, mixing them into with some portal guys. But you're right, Chase is in his 6th year here. He had an injury year, and then he had a COVID year. So, but he is really he's playing his best basketball. 46% on 3-point shooting so far. That's on pace to be the second best percentage in Clemson history among guys who have made at least 53. He's 89% from the line, right at 50% overall, which for a guard in this day and age, when I was growing up, guards would shoot 50% for the field for the year, but it's with the 3-point shot and longer shots, you don't see it very often. But he's really been a great team leader, along with Ian Shefflin, who is just the all-time classic blue-collar guy. He's averaging a double-double per game, and also he leads in rebounding and assist, which is quite an unusual combination.
Yeah, he's fantastic. Shefflin is. How much is he? I mean, Hunter's outstanding, right? Is Shefflin the identity of the team? Is that where you'd look and be like, yeah, this guy is what we lean on to set the tone here?
Yeah, I think so, and he's been especially emblematic of that recently because he's got a strained back, and he's even put in this some kind of heating wrap around him even during timeouts. Of late, I was at practice today. He seems to be better on that, but he's really just been a gutty player here the last couple of weeks. We've won 6 out of 7, and he's a big reason for it. But both of them are really good team leaders. Shefflin in his 4th year with the program, and Chase Hunter in his 6th.
Yeah, you mentioned Coach Brownell, blending veterans, portal additions. Last year was the guy we knew very well in Joe Girard coming in. This year you get Jaden Zachary from Boston College. How has he fit into that role this season?
Yeah, he really is. I tell people that Jaden Zachary has done for us defensively what Joe Girard did for us offensively last year. I commented at the end of last season that Joe Girard was the most impactful transfer we've had in any sport since Trevor Price transferred from Michigan to Clemson in football back in the 1990s. But Zachary is not as good an offensive player, but boy, he's really spearheaded the defense. He's got 41 steals, and his ability to guard the other team's top offensive threat in the backcourt has taken a lot of pressure off Chase Hunter, and we feel like it's one of the reasons why Chase is having such a good year, that they at least split the time of having the defensive responsibility on the opposing team's best guard.
We got Tim Bourret with us from the Clemson Radio Network. Houston, Clemson tomorrow night down at Clemson at Little John. And, you mentioned the portal. We always talk NIL around here. It's so important. What's your sense of what Clemson's commitment is to basketball right now? It feels like the schools that have, big budget, big money going with football, big crowds, that it has been spilling over to success in basketball of late.
Yeah, I think so. I think Brad Brownell's been really smart in the guys he's brought in. Now, he hasn't brought in a lot of how should we put it in this day and age? I guess big money, players, but who knows what the NIL situation? I really don't know how much these guys are making, but I know he was really interested in Zachary. Of course, Zachary played so well against us. Mm-hmm. It had a career-high 22 points against us in the ACC tournament last year. But he and Victor Locken have really been big impact of players for us out of the transfer portal. And, I don't know that we're going crazy in that regard, but I think Brad has just done a good job of getting good players who fit into our culture.
It's so interesting, right, Tim, when you look at it. For so many years, you couldn't transfer within league. You would have to sit out the rest of your life to get to play if you transferred within a league. Now coaches can see these guys. They know them. They play against them, and they can bring them into their program. Obviously, Gerard and Zachary, that feels like a big advantage, right? When you're looking at the portal, you're like, man, I know this guy. We've seen this guy before.
I can't agree with you more. It's a different case. I do remember in the 80s, maybe 90s, there was a kid who transferred from Maryland to Georgia Tech, but he had to sit out 2 years to do it. And what a difference when you can now transfer and play right away. You've got all this tape on the guys, so it's you're not going after somebody you don't know about. And obviously, as I said, that Joe and now Jaden, we knew exactly what we were getting, and so I think you would think there'd be even more transfers within the league. We have seen it with some other schools. I know North Carolina's got a couple from other ACC schools than Louisville, and it seemed like Louisville, well, even Clemson. We did a trade with NC State 2 years ago with Ben Middlebrook.
All right. Yeah, it's funny with that. It's Syracuse, obviously Gerard went down there this year, and Brown went off to Duke this last year. So guys just crisscrossing, flip-flopping over the league. It's a whole different thing. Tim, you've seen this league for a long time. What do you make of it this year? I think you look at last year, 2 years ago, didn't get a lot of bids to the tournament, but still had good teams. I think there was just a weird perception. This year, it looks like the league is legit struggling beyond the top few teams. What do you make of what you're seeing from the ACC this year?
Well, I mean, let's be honest. You're right. I've been my 46th year doing, Clemson basketball, and what are we 4-26 against the SEC, something like that, 5-27.
Yeah, it's not. It's not good.
No, it's not. It's not good at all. So I mean, it's obviously we've had a lot of coaches who have left the league. Have some coaches made wrong decisions about the kids that they brought in from the transfer portal. I don't know. I'm familiar with some of the SEC teams that have taken players from ACC schools and they've become successful. Or whether it's just one of those deals that this year there were some maybe mistakes at some schools about some of the guys they brought in, from the transfer portal. I will say this: it's just the nature of it. It's going to change from year to year. Mm-hmm. So just because it seems like you just reconstruct team. I mean, even us, we've only have 4 guys back from last year's Elite 8 team. That played any amount of time for us at all. Now, we did redshirt a couple of kids who were playing, who were part of the program. But, just about every team, you look at what Louisville has done this year, they've been pretty successful. but they have almost a completely new team, and so you're going to see that, around the country. But this year, there's no doubt the ACC, has struggled. I will say this though, it's kind of top heavy, so we still have 5 or 6 teams that are within in the top 40 or 45 in the net that I think still have a chance to get in the tournament. But it's funny to say that it would be to the ACC's advantage to have a lot of 4 or 5 teams go 14-6 or better, and have some of the teams at the bottom go 3-17. To help the records.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly obviously Duke's really good. You guys are pretty good, but it's going to be really interesting to see how it plays out, because there is a big difference right now between the top and the bottom of the league.
But you make a good point though. It seems like the number of teams that have gotten in from the ACC the last couple of years has been smaller, but yeah, we're still getting 3 and 4 teams in the Sweet 16, or we had 3 in the Final 8 last year. So we're still seeing success from the ACC in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, the teams that get in deserve to be there. They win some games when they show up, that's for sure.
Yeah.
All right, Tim, last thing for you. Well, obviously, if Syracuse can win tomorrow night, it would be by far their biggest win of the season. We know Clemson's on a hot streak. What do you think it comes down to tomorrow night?
Yeah, I watched the Syracuse-Notre Dame game, and it was certainly an impressive comeback, by Syracuse. I think it's going to be important from a Clemson standpoint to stop their guys who have ability to drive to the lane. Your big guy in the middle, Lumpkin's got 4 straight double-doubles, so I think being able to guard him or keep him out of the lane is going to be important for Clemson. And it seems like it's always important when Clemson plays Syracuse that 3-point shooting is a big thing. Clemson's up to 39% for the year, really done a good job in that regard. So I think that'll be one of the keys for both teams.
Yes, Syracuse is the second worst 3-point shooting team in the league right now, percentage-wise, and last in total volume. But they did make 8 last game, so we'll see if that carries over at all. All right, Tim, always great to chat. Thanks for hopping on, and enjoy the game tomorrow.
Great to talk to you. Have a good night.
All right, there he is, Tim Bourret down in Clemson. A dusting of snow down in South Carolina today. Orange headed down that way right now. All right, with that, we will take a break. We'll talk to another Tim when we come back. We'll get Tim Leonard in here for a little 4-on-1. That's next year on Q Sports Talk and ESPN Radio.